All right. This is part of our show we call Chairman's Comments. And that's me. So 6 or 8 months ago, a little backstory, some of you have heard some of this before, but many of you maybe not. 6 or 8 months ago, Larry had made it pretty clear that he wasn't doing this again. And he and Dennis and a couple others approached me and asked me if I'd consider it. And I said, well, it's not something that I've aspired to. The pay's not that great. The hours are kind of long. I'm sorry? Yeah. They told me they'd double the rate. I'm not great at math, but I'm not sure how that works out. And I said, well, here are things. One, you got a great team, right? You got a great secretary in Denise. Great committeeman, Tim Steele. Great treasurer, Caleb. And a whole slew of volunteers that, I mean, if you saw the amount of work that went into the reorg that we just got done with, it's just amazing. And there are too many to name, but there's dozens of folks, and you know who you are, that really made it work. So I said, yeah, I'll consider it if they all stay on. It's a great team, it's a team sport, and they did. So I'm very thankful for that. So here I am. We got through convention. By the way, let's see. How many of y'all were at convention? Just raise your hands if you were. Okay, all right, good. Well, you saw that, that I got to speak for 2 minutes and I timed out because I got a lot to say, folks. But I'm not going to bore you with it all tonight, not all of it, a little bit. At this point, I would like to go ahead and recognize our electeds, our elected delegation in the audience. And I'm not sure where you all are, but if you would stand. Please, all right. Lance, there are many things I don't know. Many things I don't know, and some of them are who everybody is. Yeah, I'm not Larry. Larry's been doing this for 10 or 15 or 20 years. He knows everybody. And so thank you all for attending this first. Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Let's see. Got a few more points here to make. New members. Over the last couple of months, we've had a lot of excitement, we've had reorganization, and we've had a lot of new members join. If you're a new member to the York County GOP over the last couple of months, would you please stand? How many of you have? Wow. That's great. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Hey, Aaron, you're in the back, by the way. One of my many faults is that I tend to not speak loudly enough. So, can you hear me? All right, okay, good. All right, got that. As you all know, we just went through county convention and reorg. We have yet to go through state. That's a week from this coming Saturday, also to be very exciting. We've got a great slate of 49 delegates. They've all confirmed that they're heading down to state. And well, as we say, it ought to be exciting. So for you 49, for any of you that are here, thank you so much for doing that. It's a long day. All we would ask is that come heck or high water, as the saying goes, sort of, that you make it if you possibly can and get there early and stay to the bitter end. Because it can be a long day from what I understand. So thank you for being willing to do that. One of the goals that we have, okay, yes, absolutely. One of the goals, actually maybe the primary goal that we have for the organization over the next couple of years is to grow. We're off to a great start. I think this may be the best attended event, close maybe, all right. So thank you all for coming. I'm going to encourage everybody, all of y'all know people who are like-minded, conservative, patriots, encourage them to join, even if they just join. They don't all, you can join, you don't have to come to the meetings, but for folks who are really interested in helping to make a difference, that's primarily what we're interested in doing here, right? So right now we're an organization of about 500 people, And that's up from, at the beginning of Larry's term, prior to that, it was 150, maybe. So the last couple of years, we've had great growth. We want to continue that. One of the little tools that we have some in the back and we have some here. These little cards. If you just take a few and you're out walking around, you see somebody wearing a Make America Great Again hat, you know, or, an American emblem shirt, encourage them to find out about us. A little QR code on the back takes you to the website. You can join. You can just sign up for our emails, which you'll notice are becoming more frequent. So we have a slew of these. Please make sure you have some on the way out if you're so inclined. Last thing, before I turn it over to our guest speaker this evening. Leading up to reorg, there was a bit of a controversy. And it's good to know your audience. Raise your hand if you're familiar with the primaries controversy. Okay, good. So we know who we're talking to. There was a lot of hay made about the fact that certain of the county organizations, like ours, this message was coming out of the Columbia folks, that we want to limit people's involvement in primaries, right? That was the message. And because we've long been for closed primaries. In fact, we're not the only ones. The South Carolina Republican platform, let me just read it here for you. That's not it. Here we go. All right. Says, under election integrity. These are ideals now, keep that in mind. It's one thing to have ideals, and we shoot for them, right? So under election integrity, they say, we support that's photo ID, that's good. We support allowing voters to designate a political party on their voter registration application. Okay, good. Then, this is a great one. We believe political parties have the right to choose their nominees. Therefore, we support primaries that, now this is really what it says, right on page 7. We support primaries that are open, only to registered voters of that political party. They say open, but that's a closed primary, is what that is. And that is the platform of the South Carolina Republican Party. And we've been trying to get that done in the legislature from my understanding, a long time. We still have open primaries, which means anybody can come and vote. So we've got Democrats who these days are, well, it's an affliction. But they're helping us pick our candidates. And we really just don't like that, right? So now, it may be crazy. It may be somebody has a good reason for that. I haven't heard it yet. But the ideal is closed primaries. The interesting thing about the way they word that is they say, we believe in primaries that are open. They don't use the word closed, they use the word open, but then they qualify it by saying, but only to those registered in that party. It's a little bit of a misdirection. So, to finish that up, we really are for closed primaries. The Republican Party is for closed primaries, but we can't get it done. This is one of many examples of the gap that exists between our ideals as expressed in our platform. And if you haven't read it, folks, I can't encourage you enough to go to the SCGOP website, read the platform. It's aces, okay? It's really, in terms of setting out ideals for us and for policy, can't beat it. A couple things I could add, but regardless, I'll take 80% anytime. And yet we are, the gap between our ideals and what we actually get legislated, that's why we're here. That is exactly why we're here. We're going to hear tonight from a member of the organization that's just started Doge, South Carolina. It's kind of, And the last thing I'll say about primaries is there was an alternative, because we don't seem to be able to get the closed primaries done. there was an alternative floated around about using the convention, caucus, and convention method to select candidates. Now, this is the one that really got people's attention, because the saying was, well, okay, they want to make all the decisions behind closed doors in a smoke-filled room, and nobody gets a say, and it's really evil. And, well, okay. First of all, the South Carolina bylaws, GOP bylaws, say that convention method is a perfectly legitimate alternative to primaries. It's right there in their bylaws. And yet they were, casting aspersions on whoever it is that might be distributing that information. Here's the real kicker. I just can't get over this. We just got done with reorg for ourselves. The state's about to do it in 10 days, 9 days. Who's counting? What method do we use to select our new leaders in the South Carolina GOP? I find that ironic. And I'll just leave it there. And that's what I have to say about that. Again, you'll get plenty of emails from us. If you know folks in your neighborhoods or anywhere, and by the way, you don't have to be a York County resident to join. I've been putting the arm on my sisters, then they don't live here. Throw us a few shekels. It's okay. We can use it. We'll put it to good use. So anybody you know that's like-minded, we're America first. We are big Trump supporters. We love what he's doing. Government has done nothing but grow our entire lives, and for the first time we're seeing a concerted effort in DC to rein it in. And you see how hard they're fighting against it, right? It's insane. They say you don't learn about a system until you try to change it. And that's what's happening. And we're learning a lot about the system we've got. The judiciary, we thought we had a mess here in South Carolina. Holy cow. The federal judiciary is a hot mess. So, okay, all of that said, if you get our emails, forward them to your like-minded people. We're trying to grow. All of you can help with that. And we look forward to an exciting couple of years. Like I said, I have a lot to say. And that's a little bit of it. So we'll move on now with the program. Doge, South Carolina. We have tonight Trevin McCoy with us, and he works for Ron Reddy, who is the founder of Doge, South Carolina. And we see what's going on in DC with Doge, with Trump and Musk, and all the essentially volunteers that they've brought in, and it's fascinating to watch, and it's a great time to be alive and be an observer of political events. So I'm pretty excited to hear from Trevin, and it's a fledgling effort, right? They're just getting off the ground. So if you all would give Trevin a warm welcome, appreciate it.
In 8 years of doing grassroots politics and campaigns, I have not yet had the opportunity to do this. My grandparents are here tonight. I want to thank them for being here. If I had not spent countless hours on my grandfather's knee listening to The World According to Rush Limbaugh, I would not be a Republican. I might be a Republican. I certainly wouldn't make a career out of Republican politics. So thank y'all for being here. Preface: if you disagree with anything I say, that's okay. What I'm saying is that the government runs inefficiently, but the First Amendment guarantees you the right to a bad opinion. If you do agree, I'm happy to talk afterwards. So at Doge, South Carolina, our motto is simple and bold. We kneel to God, not government. This motto drives our Doge, South Carolina mission, which is to return the power and money back to the citizen. This power and money has slowly but surely been transferred to the government over time, making government all-powerful at the expense of the citizen. Like I said, we believe that our rights come from God, not government. John Locke affirmed, and Thomas Jefferson later plagiarized, that these rights, life, liberty, and property, are granted to us by an all-powerful creator, not any institution. In the 250 years of our existence as a nation, this has been an immutable belief of ours, but the powers that be feel as though they can erode our rights, and it's our duty to remind them that those rights are not theirs to take away. Government should be limited, accountable, and constitutional. Our founders intended co-equal branches of government with limited charters, so the citizen is sovereign and self-governing. In South Carolina, the balance of power between the three branches of government has been broken. with the legislative branch dominating both the judiciary and executive branches in South Carolina, exercising uncontrolled power through a fourth branch, the agency state, which is a vast, unelected bureaucracy funded by the highest income tax of any red state, in addition to uncontrolled property taxes, sales taxes, and gas taxes. These agencies operate without meaningful oversight. They strip away power from the people. It is our belief that the citizens must rise up and reclaim their sovereignty through grassroots action. This is the duty of the citizen, while our legislators may be the ones responsible for their bad actions. If we continue to allow it to happen, we are just as much to blame. South Carolina should be governed like a red state, or the solid South. Georgia did that one horrible mistake one time. We forgave them. We're the solid South. We should not have legislators in South Carolina acting like ones in New York and California. Our legislators should be following the lead of Tennessee and Florida, who have repealed the income tax. And they've managed to maintain as states more prosperous than ours. We exist to dismantle the agency state, restore constitutional balance, rebuild a government that serves the citizen and returns money to the citizen through the elimination of the state income tax. Only then can we begin to reform education, with which we are 42 out of 50. Roads, bottom 5. Crime, 9th highest in the nation. And median family income, bottom 10 state. We want to build the largest, most powerful conservative grassroots movement in South Carolina. How do we do that? To restore balance and dismantle the agency state, we're going to actively promote removing legislative control over the judiciary to ensure an independent court system that upholds the Constitution and not political agendas. SC is only one of 2 states where the judiciary is appointed and reappointed by the legislature. The worst instance of this is the JMSC. The recent amendment to the JMSC, which I think does not take effect until July of this year. The amendment moved that the JMSC holds 12 seats, 4 appointed by the Senate, 4 by the House, and 4 by the governor. That's still the Senate controlling the entirety of our judicial system. We are proposing that the governor receives 8 seats on the JMSC, the remaining 4 go to the legislature. Some of the things we're advocating for would require a constitutional amendment. This would be a way of reforming our judiciary to have a balance of power within the branches without a constitutional amendment. And of those 8 seats, we would like to see go to the governor. We would like none of them to be elected officials on the JMSC selection committee. Restore executive control of state agencies by giving the governor full authority to oversee the executive branch and enforce laws effectively. The SC Constitution says the governor is the supreme executive authority, and it's time he acted like a co-equal branch and dismantled the all-powerful agency state. If you're the head of an executive agency, the governor should be able to unilaterally fire you if you're doing a bad job. You shouldn't be receiving a $30,000 raise every 4 years for running a failing department. And we would like to eliminate separately elected constitutional officers from the ballot and allow the governor to appoint a full cabinet, as does our U.S. president. So South Carolina has a true executive leader. We should not be following the federal model. We should be following the federal model here. Generally speaking, the governor is considered the leader of a state. We should be allowing our governor to appoint a cabinet that will work towards his conservative agenda and not having to compete with members of his executive branch to get it done. In rebalancing power between the branches, we can eliminate unelected boards and commissions, reduce government overreach, and protect citizens from being ruled by unaccountable bureaucrats. Only then do we have a platform for reform of education, roads, crime, family, incomes. On the 250th anniversary of this republic, taking place in July of this year, it's time to send the legislature a message and let them know that we need to follow a DOGE agenda in South Carolina. That's everything I have prepared. I am happy to take questions.
So as we've seen at the federal level, we have DOGE, that's the model, right? But it required the election of an executive who was behind the effort. We have an election coming up, and so what's your message to the potential candidates for governor with regard to DOGE?
With regard to Doge, they should be focused on following Donald Trump and Elon Musk's model and implementing a Doge agenda in South Carolina. We're an incredibly wasteful state. They should be prioritizing not being wasteful.
Doge at the federal level, it's a bunch of technologists getting access to agency spending. Is there a candidate for governor who supports that model for South Carolina? In other words, the governor giving access to some technologists who can burrow in and find out where all the money's going and what's being wasted.
They all should be expressing support for that, but to my knowledge, none of them have as of yet.
We vote for you.
No, thank you.
So how is your Doge and Rom Ready? Is that
Rom ready.
Rom Ready? How are you guys funded? Like who's behind you and who's paying for all this?
Rom is. We are self-funded. We are not. When we accept small dollar donations, which we're very thankful for. I think we've had a few hundred people get $5 and $10. We're not asking for money. We're not beholden to outside, funders, donors. Rom's an incredibly principled man. Believes in the return. I think a lot of what I talked about is these lofty constitutional changes, these framework changes we need to talk about in South Carolina. We can't get to this, fix the DOT's wasting of money without making some of these formative changes to how we rebalance power within the states. Because the legislature would stop it. We have an all-powerful legislature. So that's a little bit of a long-winded answer to your question. But we are self-funded.
Can you explain again, or maybe I just missed it the first time, or I didn't understand, how or practically are you going, is there a strategy on how to get the legislative branch to relinquish some of their power? How is that going to happen? And even if we elect a governor that is pro-Doge or pro some of these ideas, currently, that governor has not the authority to really do anything. So all they really would have is a platform to speak. So is there a practical strategy on how to get this reorganization of the branches?
Yes, there is a practical strategy. I am going to defer to the fact that we have a constitutional lawyer on staff that is going to make it so I can answer those questions more efficiently. But I'm not a constitutional lawyer. I'd make a lot more money if I was. But it is going to be an uphill battle. I'm our political director, and that's a fancy title for me. It's my job to create our grassroots army, right? We're going to need a lot of pressure. Like I said a moment ago, some of these things might take a constitutional amendment, right, which would require the state legislature to vote by a 2/3 majority that they want to allow us, the lowly citizen, to vote for an amendment. But some of these things, like the JMSC restructuring, we can just put pressure on the legislature to change the law. On the how do we get some of these things done? That's why we have a constitutional lawyer on staff, and he's helping us sort out the answers to that, but that is the long-term plan. Yes?
The real question is, are they going to do their job, and how are you going to get the right people for the right moments just to do the right thing when they're supposed to?
So we are focusing on candidate recruitment, doing extensive conversations with people to see if they are just saying the right things that they want to pack to hear when we get involved, and hopefully we're finding the right people. I've been instructed on grassroots for a while, and I don't think there's something. It's really effective when you bring a group of people to their Republican legislator in the state house, like 30 or so people, to say we want you to vote yes on this bill. Especially in Republicans that won close races, right? If you won your race by 30 votes and 35 of your constituents show up to say, vote yes on this bill, you're not seeing 35 of your constituents they want to talk to you. You're seeing your next election loss. And that's why we want the grassroots army. Yes, sir.
Are you going to work on things like primaries? Because more to Tony's question about the strategy and how to make this, like you said, it's a constitutional amendment. that's a long drawn out process. And it starts with having candidates, or not candidates, but people in positions of power that are actually on board with that agenda. In order to get those people on board, we have to have elected leaders that are willing to do that. But first, it's got to be at the primaries. We as Republicans, we're horrible at primaries. Nobody shows up for a primary. That's why we still have Lindsey Graham, because nobody shows up for a primary. We have 5-7% people voting. So is there a strategy, is your organization going to help from a grassroots level to reinvigorate how Republicans vote in primaries? My biggest concern right now is Trump's doing a lot of great stuff in the federal league, so we're just going to sit back. We got Trump in, hey, primary comes up in 2 years, we're going to lose the House, all this kind of stuff, because people don't vote. So if we can't solve that problem, everything else will never happen. So how, is that a thought process within your organization?
I do have to ask a clarifying question. Were you asking about the primaries in reference to what Mr. Anderson was talking about with the changing them earlier, or are you asking me if we will be involved in primaries?
No, involved in primaries to get
Yes.
to get out the vote.
Yes.
You know, things like
Absolutely.
are doing, get people registered at gun shows, and all of that kind of stuff.
That is 100% in line with everything we want to do. You know, I spent most of my, right out of college career in Georgia, after they made their horrible mistake in 2020. But, the primaries matter, and they matter so much more than the general in a state like ours. You have the R next to your name, you win the general, and 99 of our 100 and whatever state house seats, right? But to get a real Republican, you need real grassroots action in the primary. So yes, we fully intend to launch. Yes, ma'am.
Hey, so we're a bunch of people here and we work hard to get things done. What do you need from us to help with this?
Right now, there is not an election this year, and session ends in 4, 5, 6 days, something like that. Right now, help us spread the message. I have a bunch of literature in the back. I don't know if I have enough for roughly the 100 or so people that are here, but help us spread the message. Sign up online. We have a website, dogesc.com. Follow us on Twitter. I think Twitter is official dogesc. Rom's a smart guy. He's putting out a lot of policy positions online talking about waste in the government. One of my favorite ones to talk about is Florida has 25 million citizens and has 5,000 DOT employees and objectively better roads than ours. We have 5 million citizens, 5,500 DOT employees, so more than them, and really crappy roads. So, Mr. Bird.
Are you going to have forums to educate people throughout the state? Really get them educated and fired up and really active.
Yes, so we're trying to set up like some town halls in the near future, primarily right now with Rom, our founder, but also with legislators who really mean it when they say we want to pass a DOGE agenda in South Carolina. Because there have been some that have said that in the State House, and I don't know if they mean it or if they're just trying to get some points with their voters, but we're planning on trying to inform and educate as many people as possible. Yes?
Yes, so our elected legislators have exposed and shown us where there's a lot of wasteful spending in our Columbia. And to be honest with you, some of this stuff blows my mind that these expenditures are going out to these things that are ludicrous and ridiculous. You're new. Do you have any targets of where you want to go in to see where there's fraud? I mean, do you have points, bullets, like where you're going to be focused on? And I mean, right now you really can't get in and see anything, but in other words, is there a plan of where you want to hit first to see where there's fraud and wasteful spending?
I don't know if there's a plan to where we want to start with the DOT and end with the DHS. I don't know if we have like a thing in mind. I think kind of like our larger thing is that they all have an incredible amount of waste, and we should audit every single piece of information as quickly as we possibly can. So I mean, they're all corrupt, they're all wasting. We want to get all of them. There's probably some priorities, but we don't have like a firm list at the moment, no.
Yes, and you can't do anything yet until you're able to get in there.
You know, we've had some legislators express a little bit of fear that we might primary them already. So they have not said no when we've expressed a desire to work together. So we're not powerless at the moment. Absolutely. Yes, sir.
Some of the government websites pretty much listed the stuff that Elon and his team found. Are you guys doing that? I mean, not necessarily going in and auditing somebody, but actually researching and exposing flagrant waste and putting that out as a way to get followers.
Yes. So I mean, like, you know, like this lady over here mentioned, like we are somewhat limited in our capacity to uncover massive amounts of waste at the moment, but we are definitely prioritizing drawing comparison to waste as compared to other states. It's like why I referenced the Florida thing earlier. Like the fact that we have 500 more DOT employees in a state that has 1/5 the population of our neighbor, in and of itself is an aspect of waste. I mean, like.
One of the things, I'm sure you're going to give it out, but an email for people that are aware of things going on, to send it to you guys to publicize that?
Absolutely. Trevin@dogesc.com or support@dogesc.com. And I'll hand out my personal phone number to everybody too, because it's already all over our website.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's, in order to get support, you're going to have to show like what you're looking at, and what you're looking at is out in public in some sense. Maybe not everything, maybe not the deep dark secrets, but I mean, a lot of stuff, some of the stuff as far as like DEI and all that stuff was right out in the open. There wasn't anybody hiding it, just people weren't talking about it.
Yeah, no, I don't think that, I think in a lot of these cases, it's not like the government like hiding these from us. I think it's the electorate not paying as much attention as they should be. Like some of the stuff is just very obviously there. Like we've all heard about the DEI stuff in public schools. They didn't hide that. They spent money on it and laughed in our faces when we said we didn't want it to happen.
I moved here about 5 years ago from the communist state of California. And the one thing I do have to give them credit for is a piece of information put out by the Secretary of State on everybody who was running for every office, so that we were an educated, stupid but educated, public that was able to go in and see for every office that was up for election who was running, from the norms down to the crazies, and there were some very odd people running. There is no communication in the state. I call it the mushroom growers philosophy. Keep us in the dark, feed us shit, and hope for the best. So what we are not getting is information on who is running, what their platform is, pros and cons against that person, and we have brought these books from California to our illustrious governor, to Brandon Newton, Michael Johnson, Michael Neese, and they all say the same thing: God, that'll never happen here. Which only tells me they want us ignorant. And so ignorant people feel no reason to vote, because we don't know what the heck we're voting for.
Just a clarifying question. The government of California releases a list of every single person running for every elected position.
Of every single person, every single party.
They all answer the same questions.
So I do think that is a great idea to implement that in the state of South Carolina. But at the same time, I do think that we would get more honest information from groups like our local Republican Party and outside organizations that operate as watchdogs to ensure that elected officials behave effectively, rather than our state government, which has an interest in controlling information.
That didn't work in California. Both parties lied.
Fair.
It needs to be the Secretary of State impartial from the state.
Oh yeah, absolutely. They absolutely should have a list of every single person that's running.
And the people supporting that candidate are listed. So you can see, is this being supported by all the George Soros organizations, or is it being, whatever else? So the person running gets their platform, and then there are the people who are against that person with why we don't want him, and what organizations agree with that, and what organizations love this person. So it is balanced. It's me telling paradise on a platter in my eyes, and then all the people who want me and the people who don't want me. And it really does give you an education.
I mean, it sounds like a wonderful idea. I don't think DOGST has a formal policy position on it, but I do think it's in line with our values. And I think I'm running up on my time, judging by Mr. standing up. So thank y'all for having me.
I know we probably could have gone another 30 minutes asking questions because it's a fascinating topic. I'm just going to offer two observations. One is that the governor's race is really critical because even though we have by Constitution a weak, relatively, governor as compared to the legislature, he's still got a bully pulpit. And if we get somebody up there who makes these messages and makes them hard and who's learning from what Trump has done and is unafraid to make those same kind of messages, I suspect he'll be elected with overwhelming numbers. And that, my friends, will put the fear into the legislature, if I'm not mistaken. And at the same time, we have an obligation to educate. That's at the grassroots level, because 2 years ago, I was ignorant. I'm still ignorant. I'm less ignorant than I used to be, but there's a lot to learn. And it's on purpose that the electorate is not informed, right? The folks that are in power make it challenging to learn the ways. So, a couple observations. Now, we're doing something a little different. Now, tonight, this is called audience participation. We have a legislator, Representative Jackie Tarabile is going to come up, and there are a couple of activities going on right now down in Columbia that we would like everybody to get involved with. We've got some postcards and some pens, and we're going to write. It's not mandatory. It's not, you need to give us your postcard or we don't let you leave. It's not that, but if you'd like to, after listening to Jackie here, there are a couple of opportunities for us to get involved. I'm sorry? Oh, you're there. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, Jackie.
Hi everybody. My name is Jackie Tarabile. I am the State House Representative for District 66, which is TEK Fort Mill. I'm so grateful to be here with you all again tonight. I want to say hi also to Randy Ligon, Representative Ligon, who's here tonight. Randy and I work together in the House. We sit next to each other. I sit behind Randy, and we're there. And we have 2 more weeks left of the legislative session. That's it. So that's 6 days of legislative work. So we're at the end of the session. And so the good news is that anything we don't get to, we can take up in January, so it's not dead. But the bad news is that we have 6 days, and there's a lot of great legislation that hasn't gone anywhere, or that's been stalled in different committees. So that's what I came here to talk to you about tonight, and this is what we're doing. Can I just go on to the ground game? Okay. We're just going to move into the action part of this. Unless anybody has a specific question, I'm happy to answer about the legislative session and what we're doing. If you want, you can ask me questions while we're doing the work, but let's get right into it. There's 2, we're calling this our ground game. This is something that I believe the York County GOP is going to be doing every month. Action items, and so you have postcards on your table and you have pens. And we're going to talk about 2 bills that are very important that are not going anywhere. And we need your support to encourage our legislators and the committees to move them forward. So the first one that I would like to talk about is near and dear to my heart. This is the SC Healthy Schools Act, H4339. And I do want to encourage everyone in the future, if you're sending an email to me or Randy or your senators and your representatives, don't just put the bill number in the subject line, put a description in of what it is, right? Randy's laughing, because we have so many of these, there are thousands of bills filed in a session, so we don't, even the ones that I'm like co-sponsoring, sometimes I can't remember what they are. So it will be really helpful, because if it says in the subject line, H4339, Healthy Schools Act, when I go through my email and I see that, I say, oh, I care about that. That's one that I want to know about. And I put that in there. And also put your zip code or your district in there as well. I love when people put their address, because if it is a District 66 person that I'm receiving an email from, you better believe that I'm reading it and answering it. So if you have someone other than me, make sure you include that information. But we're writing postcards because emails are great and phone calls are even better. But a handwritten personal note to your legislator or a legislator is going to get noticed more than anything else. Or a handwritten letter is even better. But we're going to do postcards because we're going to make it easy for everyone. So as a mom, this is a bill that many parents that I know care about and I care deeply about. It's called the South Carolina Healthy Schools Act. We all want what's best for our kids, and it starts with knowing what's in their food. This bill is simple but powerful. It protects kids by banning dangerous additives from school meals. These additives are linked to cancer, hyperactivity, and hormone disruption. And many of these chemicals are already banned in other countries, but we have them here in our schools and in our food. So this bill applies only to school-provided meals. So if you're a parent and you want to send your kid with Doritos, you certainly can do whatever you want, but we don't need to spend taxpayer dollars and feed our children chemicals that are making them not be able to pay attention in school, hurting their allergies and all that kind of stuff. This bans harmful additives. It requires clear labeling, and it protects your parental rights because you get to choose what's best for your kid and what's healthy for your child. And I also want to note that this particular bill, the wording in this bill has been supported by the RFK Jr. team. It's MAHA approved and supported, and they are a strong voice for transparency, parental rights, and child health across our country. And my husband just sent me, and some of you may have seen this, that Trump has put out yesterday or today that they want to make this a national effort of banning these chemicals from our schools, our kids. And from, I think he was talking about even just in general in our food supply in our grocery stores. So this particular bill is talking about taxpayer dollars in South Carolina being used. I'm proud to be a co-sponsor of this bill along with the chairwoman, Shannon Erickson. I'm grateful that 58 other legislators, the last time I checked, we had 58 other legislators signed on, so this is a very popular bill, but it was just introduced recently, and we need to get it a hearing as soon as possible. I believe that we are going to have a hearing on it next week. And I'm on the education committee. It's going to come up through the education committee, but I haven't gotten my schedule next week, but I'm encouraged to hear that it might get heard next week. So these postcards are going to be wonderful. And when we send them, they are going to go into the public record saying that they received 100 postcards supporting this bill. So it'll be very encouraging. We need to keep pushing. So that's where you come in. So we're going to get out your pens. If you would like to send a postcard, you can grab a pen, grab a postcard. Encourage you to write a note on there. We're going to send it to the education committee. So this is where you're going to address it to. The chairwoman, Shannon Erickson, that's the address right there. So you can do that. And then you can put a note, whatever you think is great. Mine's going to say, as a mom in South Carolina, I support H4339, South Carolina Healthy Student Act, and I'm asking you to help bring it forward. Our kids deserve better. You can personalize it however you want with your kid's name, your grandchild's name, whatever you like, but the handwritten messages make a difference. So that's our first action. Yes, you have a question?
Do we really need a post office box and then a physical address? Are we mailing it? That's a lot to put on your site.
If you put it to the Blatt Building, room 429, it will get there, but this is the address that is on the website for the Education Committee, so if you can fit it in there, put it in there.
Can you read your message one more time?
Sure, give me 1 second. As a mom in South Carolina, I support H4339, the Healthy Student Act, and I'm asking you to help bring it forward. Our kids deserve better. Ken?
Would it be better to fill them out before we leave tonight?
Yes, please, fill them out tonight.
May not get them in time.
Fill them out tonight because we can mail them, or I can I-
stamps here. When we finish tonight, everybody's gonna come over here and you're gonna put a stamp on it and it's gonna go in the mail.
Yes, and as Randy said, if you want, we can take them, Danielle, as well, and you can save the stamp. We can collect them tonight, we'll take them and bring them, drop them off Tuesday morning.
Yeah, leave everything here. Just stamp it for me if you will. Come over here, stamp it, leave it. We're gonna mail it for you.
What I'm saying, don't mail it. You give it to Jack, you take it, you mail it, they get it, after the session's over.
Yeah,
And that'll save you guys things.
that's true, that is true. Yeah.
I see this also listed as a Healthy Schools Act. Is there any difference? The healthy student or healthy school?
This is, okay, so I filed a bill that was a food dye bill last month. And then once I filed the bill, we started talking to RFK's team and Chairwoman Erickson, and they put together this more extensive bill. So this bill right here, 4339, is the bill that we want to support.
Do you want, we're not from Fort Mill,
Doesn't matter.
but do we
We
want,
have a Fort Mill address.
but do you want our names and, address or zip code or?
Yeah, put whatever information on that postcard that you want to put on there, but everybody, no matter where you're from, you don't have to be in York County, anywhere, because the thing is that, I'm only one representative, so we need as many representatives to support this and then push, vote for it as possible. So one person can't do anything. That's why the grassroots are so important, because no matter where you're from in the state, so if you have a friend who is in a different part of the state, go home tonight and ask them to send a postcard to the committee too. Because we need all the representatives, we need collaboration with the representatives in order to get these important bills to go forward and encourage. So yes, please stay where you're from, and I'm sure that Representative Neese will be glad to see that his constituents are, working hard for issues that are important to you as well. Yeah. Okay, we're going to move on to the next. Neese, do you want to move on? Oh. Does anybody need a second postcard? Because we're going to do another one. Yeah, we have a few people who need a second postcard. Okay, we're coming around with a second postcard because we're going to have another push for another, yes, Alice. And is how long do the schools have to comply with this? They have until July of 2027. And I know that I went to do a tour and met with the food director for a Fort Mill School District, and we talked extensively about this bill and what was feasible to do, because obviously we don't want to put a demand on our district. They are trying to be good stewards of their taxpayer dollars, and they want to make sure that they're not wasting food. They have to go through a procurement process, and the companies have to be able to follow this as well, so they need time. So it will be, they're going to give them some time to do that. Yes. Yes, Tom.
Real quick, on the county level, we have recently been approached about a overall lawsuit against 9 major food manufacturers, class action lawsuit, where each county would participate in that lawsuit, and it impacts all the major food manufacturers, basically the major 9.
Mm-hmm.
So that's more to come about it, but that is something that's being brought to us.
Right, okay. That's great. That's great news. So you can see that at the county level as well, this is an important priority for them as well, which is great. And that's my York County Councilman Tom Odette back there, you guys. Working hard for us. Working hard for us. I'm proud that he's my councilman. Okay, let's move on to the next one. This is the DEI reform bill. It's H3927. And maybe some of you have heard of this before. This is a bill that has sparked a lot of conversation and unfortunately a lot of misinformation as well. And it's been kind of out of the news because this went through the subcommittee, the education subcommittee, committee, and then the full House voted on it several weeks ago. So, people have moved on. But this bill I'm proud to say the sponsors of all the Republicans were on this bill as a co-sponsor, and all of the York County delegation voted to pass this bill. And as someone who I sat in many, many hours of testimony from the public about this bill in subcommittee and committee, and then on the House floor. We were there for quite a long time debating this bill, but it did pass in the House. That was back in, I believe, the beginning of April, and it went over to the Senate. So what happens if a bill starts in the House? If it gets a hearing in the subcommittee, which is what we want, then if it gets passed favorably to the committee, then it gets passed in the committee, then it goes to the House floor, and if it gets passed on the House floor, then it goes over to the Senate for the same process to happen. And unfortunately, after all the work that we put through on this DEI bill, it is now sitting in the Senate Judiciary Committee, subcommittee, since April 10th, and it hasn't gone anywhere. So I want to encourage everyone to send a postcard to the Judiciary Committee of the Senate and encourage them to have a hearing on this bill and move this bill forward. This bill ends state-sponsored diversity, equity, inclusion programs rooted in activism and not academics. It does not remove emotional or academic support for students. It just ensures that support stays focused on learning and development. And it removes ideology from the classroom so teachers and counselors can focus on helping all kids succeed. We just want to put students first and get politics out of the classroom, and we want to have a merit-based system, and I think that's really important. And obviously, the Republicans in our state believe that too, because they all co-sponsored and voted for this bill. So now it's time to act. So there are a few friendly senators on the committee that I think would support this, but on the committee we have two of our York County senators are on the committee. So Senator Everett Stubbs and Senator Michael Johnson both serve on the Judiciary Committee in the Senate. So get out your pens and let's write them a nice little letter encouraging them positively to get a hearing for this. And I would say, please bring H3927 DEI bill to a vote. I support removing politics from our schools and ensuring that our tax dollars are used responsibly. Thank you for standing up for transparency. Or something similar.
Do you want a postcard to each chairman and each senator?
Well, tonight we're going to do to the chairman. This will go to the chairman and it'll be disseminated to what they do is the committee and the chairman will get these postcards and their staff will make a copy and they'll create a packet and they'll send it out to the group, the members of the group, so that they can review all of the public information that they got, all the public letters that they got. So I would send this to, if you want to send it to just your Senator Michael Johnson, go ahead and do it. This address will take it to the building that he's in, and they'll probably put it in his mail, or they'll give it to the committee. But if you want to just give it to the committee so it's on public record, I would send it to the chair. Does that sound right, Randy? Yes. Okay. Yes. Randy, go ahead.
Yeah. I don't want to kill you. I mean, talk about your momentum here, because this is great. Let me give you the bad news about some of this stuff. It's happened to me just this week, like yesterday or Tuesday. I also represent the Catawba Indian Nation, and I've had Democrats on committees, and I can't quite understand why they're in roles of leadership, but they are. And so now I've got Democratic leaders throwing back, pushing back on me because I supported this. I'm on this bill, and now I'm trying to get some help for the Catawba Indian Nation, and they're holding that against me. So I just want to make the point that unfortunately, you know, there's what's basic physics, there's a cause and effect.
What kind of help are you getting for this?
Well, I mean, that's a long story.
It doesn't have anything to do with that, this,
Well,
right?
no, the point is, no, is I'm trying to help them with their police force retirement fund. It's a financial thing in the banking insurance committee I'm on. So, but I was shocked yesterday to have this bill thrown back in my face is, oh, you voted for DDI, we're not going to vote for your bill to help completely unrelated issue. So anyway, just to say, everything we do, there's a cause and effect. It's not an easy.
And I would
have to do the right thing.
Yes, and I would say that is true, and I think that goes to speak to kind of like what is happening in Columbia right now, is that there are Democrats serving as subcommittee chairs, and so they're making decisions as far as what bills are being read as well, and so that's another thing that when you speak to your representative, you should ask them, why is that happening? If we have a supermajority in the House, why are Democrats chairing committees, right? And so I think that's why it's even more important. And I will say that I sat through many, many hours of opposition, people coming and testifying in opposition, and I got called many names, and I think my time in Moms for Liberty prepared me with tough skin to not, to be able to handle that. But there is a lot of opposition to this, so we need more than ever, the grassroots who support this need to be sending out messages and not give up. So thank you so much for listening to me, and thank you so much for this grassroots effort, and keep it going. Don't just do it tonight. Keep sending them. Oh, we have some more questions. Is that okay? Okay.
Yeah,
yes.
can you quickly throw this open bill and tell everybody at home to write about that?
Sure, yes, okay, so there is a zoning bill, Scott's calling it the SILFAD bill, but it's a bill about zoning, and that bill is in the 3M committee, and so if that's a bill that you're interested in supporting, and that number is, Scott, can you tell me, because I can't remember, I should be able to remember, but. Do you want to separate it? Yes, they should be separated by bill, so that I can give them credit. Okay. Well, anyway, this is another bill that if you, especially in particular if you live in Fort Mill, TDK, and you're familiar with SILFAD, this might be of interest to you. But again, we have 6 days left, so
HB 4293.
HB 4293. Yeah, and so that's another one. If you have a question about that or you want to talk about that, please contact me or contact Scott Jensen, and I'll be happy to talk to you about that. That's a bill that was written by Representative David Martin, and I'm a co-sponsor on that bill. And anyway, so that's another one. And yes, sir.
Jackie, I'm very curious with respect to Bill 3927. You mentioned that all of York County House representatives voted for passing this bill.
They did. They supported this bill.
Did John Key vote for it?
Not John Key. No, Republicans. The Republicans in York County. All the Republicans. We have one Democrat in York County. No, he did not support this bill. But all the Republicans did support this bill. Kelly.
Another bill, I know we're in discussion, but maybe pull it out of the history is 3310. Those primaries, for real. That would be one that
this is just a good example of how there are a lot of bills that are on the Republican platform that are priorities for all of us that are still sitting in subcommittees and haven't been heard. And I think the gentleman from Doge kind of, said a lot of really great things about not changing the system, but just that when 30 people show up at the State House and they want to talk to their representative about something, or they get handwritten letters, hundreds of handwritten letters about something, we take notice, So it's the grassroots that are going to make changes and move things forward.
primary the rhinos. What's really been frustrating for me is it feels like the House has been moving ahead on some of these bills that affect children, like the healthy schools and the DEI. And the Senate, in contrast,
spent 5 weeks on tort reform, and then they spent a day, wasted day, trying to get rid of the treasurer.
And then they gave themselves a raise.
But it seems to me that the Senate has made children and the issues for children a really low priority, whereas the House has been trying to do a good job with it. So kudos to the House for you guys making children a priority.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. It's because of all of you who come down there and contact your legislators and tell them what's important, and tell the leadership, because really it's the leadership that a lot of times decides what gets moved forward and what doesn't. So, okay, we'll take a couple more.
Quick question. For both, especially since you brought it up, we've been told in the past, by Randy Newton, among others, that no, it's not important that the Democrats are in subcommittees. We've argued that it is. How can we start something to tell the leadership, stop doing it? You're primarily a Republican state. Why are Democrats on any committee with a position of power?
I think
Republicans are Democrats too, they tell each other's back.
No, but I'm saying, but they're actually Democrats. They're not even rhinos. They're actually Democrats.
Well, I think Vivek's point is that a lot of times the Democrats and some of the Republicans work together on issues, which, it's fine because there are some issues that are bipartisan issues that we can all agree on, like this Healthy Students Act. This should be not a political issue. It's common sense. But, I think when it comes to appointing people who are in charge, we see how important it is. These people who are in charge of the subcommittees and the committees, they're deciding really, along with leadership, what bills are going to get testimony and heard and are going to move forward. And if that's a Democrat who's making that decision or influencing that, that's not good for the Republicans and the things that are important to us in our platform. So again, I think the best way to do that is just to continue to call them and say, why is this happening? I don't want this to be the case, and just make your voice heard. I think session's over in 6 days. I would encourage everyone, and I hope that I can do it with you, that we work over the next 6 months, 7 months, and make a plan so that we know what our priorities are in January, and we come out swinging with a plan of getting in front of sending letters, and really showing up. Come to the State House. You can come, and you can come to the State House, and you can sit there and watch your legislators legislate, and you can send them messages and ask them to come out into the lobby and talk to you about what's important to you. Imagine if this room of people showed up to the State House to talk to legislators about their bills. I think that would get their attention. I know it's very hard. Everyone has jobs, we work. It's difficult to get down there, but I think it would make a huge difference. So really, we're such an organized group here. You guys do such an amazing job. I wouldn't be where I am today if it wasn't for this group. So I think we can just continue to stay organized and continue to stay strong and keep our message going to the legislators there. So I appreciate you all writing these postcards. Did you have a question? Okay, great. All right, well, thank you.